Live from Rialto, California, Mark Flores presents the Pay-Per-View Wrestling Podcast, where we discuss WWE news and information. Tonight's topic, NXT and James Ellsworth here on the Pay-Per-View Wrestling Podcast. Now here's your host, Mark Flores. How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? This is Mark Flores here with another great episode of the Pay-Per-View Wrestling Podcast. Here to talk about NXT and James Ellsworth. So, with what happened tonight, I'll also provide more information with what's going on with James Ellsworth as well. But before we get into that, let's talk NXT. So, thanks to the WWE Network, I've been blessed to see all the marquee stars I would never have the privilege of seeing if I didn't have the WWE Network. People like Austin Aries, Samoa Joe, Shinsuke Nakamura, Andrade Cien Almas. I get to see all these guys in their element, in their independent level type of development. Because if we look at Full Sail University, the place where they film a majority of the NXT episodes, we could see that there's this kind of independent wrestling type of feel to it. And that's the best part about NXT, in my opinion, is that it looks low scale, and with that, there's not that much emphasis for it being placed on a grand scale just yet. You'll know the appropriate positions of what to place NXT once you look at it. And what I mean is that when you look at NXT from Full Sail University, you could see it's small, intimate. It's much like art, an art gallery rather, where everything is quaint, calm, intimate, small venue, etc. When you go to a WWE event where there's 20,000, 30,000 plus seat arenas, it's a lot more boisterous, a lot more fireworks, pyro. There's a lot more theater with it. But with NXT, it's more intimate, and with that, you get these independent level stars as well. So we're able to see many people's favorite independent workers, like I mentioned, Bobby Roode, Samoa Joe, Austin Aries. I think these guys that put in decades of work before even stepping into the ring of WWE's professional circuit is honestly, it's a treat to the people that actually watch the WWE Network. There's zero problem with someone going up the ranks the way I just mentioned. Going from training to NXT down to the WWE professionally. But one issue I do have is when WWE grabs a part-timer and places him or her into the developmental version of developmental's pay-per-view. Asuka right now is scheduled to face Mickie James at TakeOver Toronto. Now, don't get me wrong, I think that there's a ton of mainstream appeal with Mickie James appearing in NXT. I just feel with good talent already within NXT's roster, both with the men and women, I feel that how difficult it would be to have that play out after the match is done. So as we see that Mickie James hasn't been in the ring since I believe about 2012, 2011, somewhere around that time, you can imagine yourself being an avid fan that this can only transpire one way. You could see the outcome of this match a mile away. Mickie James hasn't performed in a long time. Asuka is the defending NXT Women's Champion, so you kind of know who's going to win when it comes to TakeOver. Now, look at the other side of the coin here. Yes, Mickie James is a popular diva amongst some circles, but how difficult would it be to have talent like Peyton Royce, Aaliyah, Billie Kay? How difficult would it be to have them face Asuka at NXT TakeOver. It wouldn't be hard at all. The fact of the matter is, it's like, you need times like these where all the stars, a majority of the stars in NXT, are already shipped over to WWE. Now, this is the time where people, talent, independent talent that you have in NXT, this is where you're supposed to take a lot more emphasis with them and push them up the ranks to get them to the levels of Asuka. You see, the only error that WWE has right now with the Women's Revolution is that within a matter of a couple months, they already took up Becky Lynch, Bayley, Sasha Banks, Charlotte, and Nia Jax, all within a span of a couple months. That's 5 marquee stars that you've had at the last couple TakeOver events already taken over to WWE. Now that creates a power vacuum within NXT to replace those stars. Now, that's where NXT themselves have an issue, because now they have a lack of trust to have someone face Asuka at the next NXT takeover event, to where it would be to assume that it wouldn't be a popular event. That's why they're getting Mickie James in the role. Placing Mickie James in this one-off type of match shows to the NXT diehards that WWE has zero faith in the current women's division as of right now. In my opinion, I think the women's division in NXT has to develop just a little more, and that's it. I hope this isn't the case, because I really hope that WWE, NXT, I really hope that they actually have faith within their women's division as of right now. I believe they do. Within the roster, there's a bunch of raw women's talent within NXT. There's a lot to develop, there's a lot to fine-tune, etc. When you have someone like Mickie James coming off to face Asuka, A, you'll know the outcome of this match, because more than likely Mickie James ain't coming back for another one. B, you see that there's a lack within the booking section of NXT to have some NXT star actually face Asuka during NXT TakeOver. And C, there's also the issue of having WWE try to further this feud if Mickie James doesn't want to keep pursuing NXT. A lot of options can go a lot of places, but I just wanted to put my 2 cents on the whole Mickie James Asuka thing as well. But I hope this isn't the case. More than likely, when Asuka faces Mickie James, Asuka beats Mickie James and just has another diva under her belt to keep pursuing her undefeated streak till someone comes along the way and beats her. The next thing I want to talk about with NXT is Roderick Strong joins NXT. The only issue I have with Roderick Strong joining NXT is I need him to stray away from the route Austin Aries went when he started in NXT, and as he is right now as well, being placed in senseless feuds. I hope there's big plans for Roderick Strong. The way I've seen the news come around with Roderick Strong, I hope there's a lot more emphasis with Roderick Strong, because with Austin Aries it was actually more of a surprise along the way, but with Roderick Strong it's more in the public eye that we know he signed. So we've seen the bad when NXT signs a big indie name. Let's hope it doesn't go the Austin Aries route with Roderick Strong himself. Now, the last topic I want to take care of, courtesy of the people from the Pro Wrestling Complaints Facebook group, is James Ellsworth. But before we get that taken care of, let me have the commercial spot done first and foremost before we take care of the James Ellsworth segment. Hello, this is Mark Flores from the Mark F Podcast channel, here to let you know that this podcast episode is brought to you by Game Swappers. Come on down to Game Swappers, located at 4520 Holt Boulevard in Montclair, California, to buy, sell, and trade your current and retro video games from Nintendo Entertainment System to the PS4. Keep in mind that if you share any one of my podcast episodes through any form of social media, you'll get 10% off your entire purchase, or you'll get 10% more towards your retro game trade-ins. Follow Game Swappers on Instagram at GAMESWAPPERS. That's GAMESWAPPERS. Game Swappers. Buy, sell, and trade. Perfect. So now we've got that taken care of. So the next topic I want to handle here on the pay-per-review wrestling podcast is James Ellsworth. To the mainstream audience, people might see James as a random guy coming to Raw and SmackDown and having squash matches. But what a lot of people don't know is that James Ellsworth is a legend in some circles. He's fought a lot of people that have been in and out of WWE. Now, for WWE Creative to go as far as having him contend for a title shot tonight on SmackDown was pretty amazing. In order for a person to have that kind of match without being signed is impressive on its own. Now let's get this into perspective. A wrestler that is not signed on the WWE roster, per se, has a title match with AJ Styles on cable television. I can't paint the picture of this guy any more beautiful than it already is. As of today, this Tuesday, he also had his shirt released by WWE. And if it keeps selling, they're going to have James Ellsworth on a lot as it goes along. As you know, merchandise keeps moving. James Ellsworth shows up. People like showing their merch at the live event if the said character is there. Now, with James Ellsworth, I know a lot of people have a lot of flack to give the man because of his image, but a lot of people can associate with James Ellsworth more than they know. You know, take James Ellsworth's body type. Take his demeanor. It's an everyday blue-collar Joe. The majority of WWE fans are the everyday blue-collar Joe. Some might even say that WWE fans might look like James Ellsworth. James Ellsworth is playing the route that everybody likes to see. Everyone likes a Rocky story. The 1 in a million shot. A guy going for the championship that rose up the ranks or defied all odds, etc., etc. You've seen it in Rocky, the Mighty Ducks 1 and 2. It's happening right now within WWE. And it's a beautiful story that anyone could get along with. Fan, semi-fan, part-time fan, hardcore fan alike. This will help James a lot from a booking standpoint, and I'm glad it's happening. Yes, he didn't win the title tonight on SmackDown, but the beauty of it is that his name is out there a lot more. You could see his Instagram followers following him at an exponential rate from where he started, which is cool too. So what you can appreciate from this position is that James Ellsworth is playing the role that you want to be in. If you wanted to be a professional wrestler, and if you got a title shot without having a contract being signed for you with WWE. It's exactly what it is. And a lot of people might be envious because that's not them. A lot of people don't want to be James Ellsworth per se, but they would love to be in the position that James Ellsworth is in. And that's what I have for you guys tonight on the Pay-Per-Review Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Flores. Other than that, you guys have a good night and take care of yourself.